This is the 2025 production project video for a reassessment. I'm going to be using this tab here as a guide to know what to say, otherwise everything else is going to be on the top of my head. So the project title is an anti-theft application for Android mobile devices, which makes people less likely to lose their phone by creating like a virtual tether that connects two devices together via Bluetooth. When one disconnects from the other, both devices are meant to lock down and be inaccessible until they are then both reconnected through a nuclear key type system where you have to input a code on both devices that's the exact same. However, that don't work out, so as you'll see in a little bit, the project's slightly different. I selected this project because I am really fed up of accidentally leaving my phone in places, losing it in taxis, and so on. One time, just before a holiday, I lost my phone and I couldn't go on holiday with the rest of my family because your phone acts pretty much as a modern day passport, and I couldn't get around, had no money on hand and stuff like that. So I thought that this would be the coolest type of project to take up on this year. Methodology wise, I don't have a security methodology per se, but because this is more like a software development project, I decided to choose the agile methodology for development. This allowed me to go with an iterative design pattern. For example, I thought that the hardest part of this would be the back end and having to do all that work. Well, it was difficult. It definitely wasn't as hard as connecting it to the front end. So as I got used to it and iterated over the project for the second time, I decided to first develop the front end, make sure everything was working. And once I got that to work, I would come back, do a little bit of back end, update the front end, go back and forth, and it's made it significantly easier to work on this project. Whereas if I had to go for a different methodology like waterfall or rapid, where I have to churn out fully finished products, it would be much more difficult. So my code is separated into a lot of parts, but let's cover it quickly. A page, as in the resource page, is a screen that you can see over here, which I'll demonstrate in a second. This is, for example, the login activity view page. This is responsible for allowing the user to log in. Everything is stored in a view model, and all view model information that is required to be stored on the device is stored on the device. Highly specific feature. So let's cover a little bit more how it works. The application first launches the navigation function. The app navigation function, having already passed a view model, which is just a thing to keep information through different screen changes, orientation, stuff like that. So the navigation function is just very simple. If X button is pressed, navigate to this page. If this button is pressed, navigate to the next page, so on. They're done with composables, which is just instances of screens in this case, and there isn't anything fancy in here. So if we go chronologically, login activity is the first one. It is mostly, as you can see by the very nested composables and lack of organization, one big user interface with just a very small amount of interaction. So here you're able to input text. If I input the password, for example, it will update to password. The only thing I cannot show is the login process because I have accidentally tried this on all devices in the emulator, and wiping the data right now doesn't work. I would have to rebuild the cache, which I currently do not have the time for. I apologize. So you input the password, it's stored as a variable, then the variable is sent back to the view model, which is here. It then gets the hash of that, gets the hash of the saved password, and compares it. I am blind, not here. Over here. So if authenticated returns true, so if the passwords are then compared and the two hashes meet, pardon, the two hashes are the same, then passes true to authentication, which then tells it to go to the next page, which is the location page, we'll show in a second. And if it's not, the password is cleared and it starts again. So if I log in now, this is the location page, which is here. It holds most of the application's functionality. It has the Google Maps screen, it has the settings button, which leads to all the other options in the device. You can normally move this around. Currently, the latitude, longitude is just set to Google headquarters in LA, I believe. Maybe not, because that is where all devices default to. However, if you connect this to a working device separately, then it will display your active location, which I can show here. The Google Maps view, which is this entire top half here, is controlled by the two coordinates here, longitude and latitude. These coordinates are gotten from, let me go back to the view model. Shared preference. Nope. Location activity. There we are. User location. So user location is the latitude and longitude of the user, which is given from the maps activity here. Sorry, not the maps activity, the location activity. The V model is updated with the user location upon any change, so if this device was to move, or when it is also launched, it auto updates itself. Then the latitude and latitude would not also be updated on the map, but updated here. Then, if we go to the settings page, the settings page allows you to do very basic stuff like change the map type, for example, toggle dark theme, toggle high contrast, and toggle eligible fonts. So if I now, for example, keep it in dark theme and go to a hybrid terrain and return, you'll see that the map updates to a hybrid, containing the roads and a satellite overview over the top of that. One key thing to note from the code here, if we still have time, just about to do, is that is it in this one? No, it's in settings. In settings, everything is modular and imported from the view model. Besides the page itself, which is very heavily nested, everything else is making it much more space efficient on the system, as well as proving good practices, as redundancy is the number one thing that kills programs this efficient. Next part is showcase your production design. I don't understand this one too well, but I'm pretty sure this just references to what I was using. I am using Android Studio, utilizing the basic tools like the debugger, layer overview, previews before they crashed, to developing the product. This is the standard for all Android developers around the world. Google's pushed forward for this to be standard going forth, enforcing Jetpack Compose, enforcing Kotlin, and that's why I'm using it, to get practice with this. So in the future, you never know, I may land a job programming or working security at with a mobile developer. Important aspects of the design. I said the debugger's big one. More importantly, which a lot of people don't cover, is the Git history. I have a full commit history, including multiple branches when I was first developing the activities, as well as when I was doing a little bit more tricky stuff that could have impacted the overall project's direction. So I use multiple branches that way. The Git controls on Android Studio make it very easy to manage branches, go back, go forth, and revert and change files. The biggest challenge by far for this entire project was trying to set up a Bluetooth tether, which is not visible here. But if I had to say for this specific iteration of the project, it would be getting this little dot right here to actually appear and work correctly in the map. I can't show it walking around here, but quite often it would just linger or stay static instead of updating with the user as you moved along. In my report, I have a section where I test certain specific spots, which I think most of them are bus stops, and one of them is the heading of the campus for accuracy. And in the very beginning, it would trail really hard behind because it was really slow, and then sometimes it would just stay static and not update. But now as the user moves along, so does the dot and the latitude and longitude updates at the same time. So whilst I didn't achieve 100% what I wanted to do with this application, I very much did so realize the effort required to create an application, which I didn't realize before, which is actually a very good thing. But I also realized that even in such a big development area like Android development, where there are billions of devices on this planet that use Android day to day, there are sections that are not as well documented, and you have to use your previous knowledge to develop not to develop, to adapt it to your own solution, which is why I really enjoy coding and why I really enjoy this project. And that's it for me. Thank you.